As Real Madrid approach the final stretch of the calendar year, the club finds itself navigating a moment of quiet tension. On the surface, results remain acceptable. Beneath that layer, however, questions surrounding leadership, squad management, and long-term planning continue to intensify, particularly around head coach Xabi Alonso and the development of young talents such as Endrick. Before going any further, this is the type of story that defines seasons, not just matches. If you follow Real Madrid closely, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss what comes next. Like this video to keep this analysis visible, and comment the city you're watching from. Madridistas around the world, let us know where you stand as this season unfolds. Speaking ahead of Real Madrid's match against Sevilla, Xabi Alonso addressed growing speculation regarding his future, framing the final weeks of the year as an opportunity to stabilize rather than escalate uncertainty. Without directly referencing dismissal rumors, the coach emphasized the importance of finishing the year with focus and cohesion, a message clearly directed at both the dressing room and the club's leadership. Alonso acknowledged that pressure is inherent at Real Madrid, especially during periods when performances fail to fully convince. While recent results have prevented a deeper crisis, the absence of consistent dominance has kept scrutiny alive. The coach stressed that internal evaluations are ongoing and that his priority remains maintaining competitiveness while reinforcing collective discipline. At the same time, the club confirmed the short-term loan of Endrick to Olympique Lyon, a decision that reflects Real Madrid's broader approach to managing young talent amid immediate sporting demands. The 19-year-old Brazilian forward, considered one of the most promising prospects of his generation, signed a 6-month deal with the French side in search of regular playing time and developmental continuity. Endrick's departure was publicly acknowledged by Vinícius Jr., who used social media to send a message of support to his compatriot. "My brother Bob, good luck. We'll be waiting for you here soon," Vinícius wrote, signaling both personal closeness and institutional confidence in Endrick's long-term role at the club. The nickname Bob dates back to Endrick's arrival in Madrid, when he cited Bobby Charlton as one of his footballing inspirations. The reference quickly became an internal joke among teammates and staff, symbolizing the teenager's blend of reverence for history and ambition for the future, traits that initially aligned well with Real Madrid's identity. From a sporting perspective, the loan represents a pragmatic decision. Endrick believes that Lyon will provide the competitive environment necessary to earn minutes, regain rhythm, and strengthen his case for reintegration under Carlo Ancelotti in the future, with the 2026 World Cup also looming as a personal objective. Real Madrid invested heavily in Endrick's potential, paying approximately €35 million for his transfer in 2022. He officially joined the club in June 2024 upon turning 18, arriving amid significant expectations and global attention. However, adaptation at the senior level proved challenging. During his first season under Ancelotti, Endrick appeared in 37 matches across competitions, scoring 7 goals. While the numbers reflected promise, opportunities were often limited to short appearances, and consistent starts remained elusive. The competition for attacking positions, combined with Real Madrid's immediate need for results, constrained his role. Under Xabi Alonso, Endrick's situation became even more restricted. The forward featured in just 3 matches, a reduction that reinforced the perception that the current coaching project prioritizes short-term stability over gradual integration of youth. This dynamic has fueled debate among supporters and analysts regarding the balance between development and performance. Within the broader context of Alonso's tenure, Endrick's loan underscores the fine margins defining the coach's position. Every squad decision is now interpreted through the lens of results, style of play, and future planning. While the club has not made any public indication of imminent change, the margin for error remains narrow. As Real Madrid prepare to face Sevilla, the narrative is no longer limited to 3 points. The match represents another checkpoint in a season marked by cautious optimism and underlying doubt, a moment where leadership, squad depth, and long-term vision intersect. The way the club navigates these decisions before the year's end may shape not only Alonso's immediate future, but also the trajectory of players like Endrick, whose development continues away from the Bernabéu at least for now. Behind the public debate surrounding Vinícius Jr.'s performances lies a complex contractual and institutional dilemma for Real Madrid, one that extends beyond form and touches on wage structure, sporting hierarchy, and long-term planning. Club executives are increasingly aware that the situation cannot be managed solely through silence or short-term results. Vinícius remains under contract, but negotiations over an extension have gained urgency as expectations from the players' camp continue to rise. According to sources close to the situation, the Brazilian forward believes his historical contribution to the club, including decisive goals in Champions League campaigns and his role as a global ambassador, should be reflected in a salary that places him among the highest earners in the squad. Real Madrid, however, have traditionally resisted contracts that reward reputation more than current impact. The club's internal policy prioritizes performance consistency and sporting balance. This principle has become more pronounced under the current sporting leadership, especially as Madrid managed the integration of high-profile figures such as Kylian Mbappé. With Mbappé already commanding a central role both on the pitch and commercially, executives are cautious about creating financial imbalances that could disrupt the locker room hierarchy. From a sporting perspective, Vinícius's recent output has complicated his negotiating position. While his talent remains unquestioned, decision-makers are evaluating whether his influence in decisive moments still aligns with his status as a franchise-defining player. The contrast between his current numbers and those of previous seasons has fueled internal debate about whether his peak contribution has already passed or whether the dip is circumstantial. Xabi Alonso's role adds another layer of complexity. The coach's system has not consistently maximized Vinícius's strengths, particularly in matches where Madrid have struggled to control tempo and spacing. While Alonso has publicly defended the player, there is recognition within the club that tactical clarity has been lacking across the squad, affecting multiple attackers, not only Vinícius. Privately, Real Madrid officials reject the notion that the relationship with the Brazilian is irreparably damaged. They point to similar phases experienced by past stars, where periods of tension preceded either renewed commitment or eventual separation. However, they also acknowledge that the atmosphere at the Bernabéu has shifted, and that repeated episodes of crowd dissatisfaction carry long-term consequences. Financial context is central to the discussion. Madrid remain committed to a sustainable wage structure, especially after significant investments in infrastructure and marquee signings. Any new deal for Vinícius would require alignment not only with sporting performance but also with the club's broader economic model. Sources indicate that Madrid are unwilling to meet demands they perceive as disproportionate to current influence on results. At the same time, the club is conscious of Vinícius's market value. At 25, he remains one of the most recognizable players in world football, with significant commercial appeal. Losing him without a clear sporting upgrade would represent both a competitive and symbolic loss. As a result, Madrid are carefully weighing whether to reframe the relationship or prepare for a controlled exit scenario in the coming seasons. Inside the dressing room, support for Vinícius remains largely intact, but patience is not infinite. Teammates expect leadership from players at his level, particularly during difficult stretches. The coming months will be critical in determining whether Vinícius can reassert himself as an undisputed reference point or whether his role gradually diminishes amid tactical and institutional recalibration. As the season progresses, Real Madrid find themselves approaching a familiar crossroads. The club's history shows a pattern of decisive action when alignment between performance, ambition, and identity falters. Whether Vinícius Jr. remains central to Madrid's future or becomes another chapter in its cycle of renewal will depend on performances, negotiations, and the ability of both sides to redefine expectations before the divide becomes permanent.